pick will be a likely one for SKT. Prophet seems to be favoring that. So we'll see what Kongdoo wants to ban on the red side. Faker will not be getting LeBlanc this game. That was predictable. The Malzahar first ban has been pretty common for most teams. We did see Malzahar slip through in our last draft, and 2 series this week we've seen Malzahars, which is actually surprising.
Yeah.
Varus, Malzahar, LeBlanc, these are not common sights in the LCK. Lulu ban on blue side, so setting up for a Rengar first pick for Peanut. When you see that Lulu ban, that's been very much the go-to support of recent times against the Rengar in particular. Karma and Tom Kench are the big favorites.
You can see the Camille left open as well. Priority has slipped on that. We did just see from Tucson in our first set that it is a flex pick now here in LCK, but actually going to be banned away on the blue side by SK Telecom. So not interested in taking that in the first round or leaving it available for Roach.
And Wolf likes the creative support, so I'm surprised he won't be having a go on that Camille. He tried to make Aurelion Soul support a thing. Couldn't quite get that into competitive play yet.
Rumble,
and,
okay.
Well, they set themselves up for a Rengar first pick, and with the Rumble banned, definitely jived the most. But Punch has looked good on Graves. It's been probably his most impressive champion next to Lee Sin. So Rengar versus Graves has been a super common jungle matchup between basically every squad we've seen this week. Punch could just lock it in himself, but for now they'll go with the Jace. Seems like Kongdoo Monster trying an execution-heavy comp against SK Telecom. Seems like perhaps betting on the wrong horse, but...
Yeah, that's it's a risky move.
Cotton.
Bold move, Cotton.
That's my apologies.
Would be the actual quote.
And look at that. Bang locked in Ezreal against Jhin. The surprise is palpable. Prophet had an MVP performance, deathless on the Nautilus. Could be taken in the first round.
Yep, we'll go ahead, lock that in. I mean, the outside chance that it could go to Wolf, but
sure.
It's been so dominant in the top lane that we just more than likely see it reside there for Prophet.
It's a nice lane matchup into Karma, which is a pretty common support choice both with Ezreal and with Jhin to help them push. So if we see Karma locked in, maybe we'll see the support Nautilus, but as you say, given the Prophet has shown it already, there is an air of inevitability about it being a top lane pick. Speaking of top lane picks, just answering with the Shen now, we're probably going to be attacking mid lane or support pool. What do they not want to see from Faker? Faker's not on red side, so we probably won't see Katarina this game. Sad days. And Corki's most played pick has been nerfed, of course.
Oh, we already know that he's going into the Jace, so there's no ambiguity.
On the side of SKT, I mean.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm just saying SKT, they don't have to, worry about going into this blindly. They can just go for the counter matchup on the Jace. See where they want to go. Zillion Karma banned away.
We see a Lee Sin ban as the final ban from SKT if they're focusing on jungle bans.
I think that'd be pretty good. But if they want to do that, I mean, they know that Graves is also still available. So depends on what they want to focus on. It will be the Graves banned away, so that means Punch more than likely going to fall back onto that Lee Sin.
Tom Kench actually is the draft here, so going to hold on to the jungle for last pick. Talia, another common pick, is still open. If Faker wants to visit that particular well. So looking for support and mid lane. Will Faker give us something new? Always fun when Faker debuts a champion.
Nope, it's going to be the Ryze.
He's going to be the most normal champion for Faker. He will be taking Ryze to the Rift. Let's see where Ryze falls. Ryze and Orianna are his most played champions. I tell a lie, actually. Ryze falls below Azir and Lulu. Ryze 22 and 5, 82% Korea win rate with the Ryze. So nothing new, completely standard from the side of SK Telecom. And the Lee Sin that we kind of alluded to will be the pick. So pretty standard things on both sides, but I'm going to need to hit some pretty specific windows. It's one of these siege comps with Shen, which can be kind of difficult to execute. But they have Tom Kench, a melee support who can put down wards. However, if SKT get ahead in the mid game, you see no way back for Kongdoo Monster.
Yeah.
That should be a worry because SKT, second strongest early game team, only behind KT Rolster in terms of early game goal difference at 15. With Kongdoo showing so much of their draft early, they got very comfortable matchups as well.
Yep. Prophet going to be looking to have another MVP performance here on that Nautilus, going deathless.
Peanut set up to succeed as well. Achilles, he's got instant cast CC in both lanes. So a lot of happy hunting grounds to gank, unless Punch can really get on top of the jungle matchup in the early game.
And Faker, of course, again, so comfortable on this Rise. Just going to be looking to add a couple more percentages onto that overall win rate for his career, as well as bang with this Ezreal. So should be exciting to see some flashy moves from him. Arcane shifting up into the face of the enemy, because SKT, they can pretty much play with reckless abandon here in this game.
1-3-1 looking super formidable. SK Telecom always super formidable. First place versus 10th. Sometimes it looks like it on the Rift, sometimes it doesn't. Kongdoo gave KT Rolster a run for their money. Can they do it today with SK Telecom T1?
Yeah, push them into late game. That's what Kongdoo, at the very least, has to be looking for. Let's go ahead and dive right into game number 1. SK Telecom versus Kongdoo Monster.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right, so predictably, SK Telecom having quite a few fans out here today.
I'm going to dare suspect that some of the people on the Kongdoo side might also be SKT fans, because that was...
The SK Telecom side of the studio sold out, so I guess I just have to buy the Kongdoo seats.
The gusto was not necessarily behind the Kongdoo fans. Kongdoo's organization having a pretty happy time in Overwatch and other esports, but League of Legends has certainly been a meager hunting ground for them this season. Yep. Their main goal now, not to get relegated. If you guys aren't familiar with the promotion tournament, the way it works, the bottom 2 teams from the LCK meet the top 2 teams from the Challengers Korea League in a double elimination bracket. So Kongdoo have had access theoretically to better scrims and a lot of confidence, so they're in a good spot as Eunjung's back.
Hello.
It's been a while since we've seen her at the studio.
Yeah, round of applause from the audience. Haven't seen her in quite a long time. Last season, I think, was the last time we had seen her poking her head around.
She was in Weekly LCK a couple times. Might be on Weekly LCK after this, I guess. That's complete speculation, but Weekly LCK is filmed in this studio after we finish with the second match.
Yeah, which Dan Gunn, the host, has to be pretty happy about this. Meanwhile, exchange of exhausts in the mid lane. This Edge will very slightly come out on top of that exchange.
I mean, at level 1, Jace just has access to more skills, so actually is in a pretty happy spot to trade with Faker. But used his only biscuit. So that does mean that there is a refillable potion charge advantage that's now being potted by Faker.
Punch is going to be looking for a very early invade here, moving over towards this red buff. Peanut is nearby as well. Jump over with that Sonic Wave. And Peanut's going to be starting up the Raptors, who does not know the Punch is here. If he takes the red and then sits in the brush, could have some kill pressure onto the Rengar. Ward goes down. Looks like he's just going to take the Blast Cone out for a ride, so won't be clashing with Peanut yet.
Yeah, Peanut's pathing was pretty greedy. You know, on the Rock Tigers so commonly went for creative invade paths, but Rock Tigers Peanut seems to be pretty fundamentally different to SKT Peanut, as predictably SKT need different things from their junglers than what Rox was able to provide. Kuro, a very defensive mid laner, about pushing and hanging back, and safety in general, compared to Faker's pressure style. So the full clear style is punished from the Rengar, but Peanut will look to at least answer with the Scuttle Crab. Probably won't visit the Raptors now, but that's a very common camp that you want to compete for. Honestly, competing for Raptors seems at times higher priority than competing for main buffs, given how much experience and how quickly they can be cleared. But just going to double ward. Something weird about double warding coming down from Peanut and no more, but 2017 Peanut.
Yep. Well, he's spotted out by Edge. Drops another ward on the ramp, so they would see him re-enter.
It's a lot of safety now for specifically Prophet, who can push up, as you always have the pushing advantage for the Nautilus. But when you have complete information, 0% chance of being ganked in the top side. And the moment that Lee Sin shows, now Ezreal and Zyra have their safety as well.
Yep.
SKT are all about ordered pushing of lanes with information. You can see the information flow, once again, being very on the ball for SKT.
Punch roaming over. Sees with that Sonic Wave check that the Krugs have been taken or at least started up. He'll come over. He'll just find these. He'll get a nice little burst of gold. 40 goes over to him, but definitely missing out on the big haul. So Peanut just sticking one step ahead of Punch at the moment. Faker going in, gets a nice trade onto Edge. Low on mana though, so can't follow up with too much more. Sonic Wave goes in, Gromp goes over to Punch, and he'll be able to dash out. Nicely done.
It's all about those little victories, Kilios. Punch has been in the head of Peanut. You know, his pathing seems like Peanut was predictable and Punch had the right idea. Now stealing away a Gromp in front of him. Nice stuff from Punch. One of the many Kongdoo Monster members probably isn't happy with his spring performance so far. The hype around this guy, who was the new entry into the team when they went over to Challenger after getting relegated in spring of 2016, had a lot of hype around him. Looked very good at IEM Gyeonggi, but has kind of fallen away with a lot of his squad mates in the regular season this season.
Yeah, it's definitely been lackluster performances from him, and for pretty much Kongdoo overall.
Best performer's probably been Edge and Soul.
Oh boy.
Maybe Edge with a slight advantage, as Roach didn't have a spell rotation to pick up the kill there.
Yeah, Prophet gets him really low, so it's going to send him packing back to the base. He'll get a shop in. He's got the TP available, so can jump back up and probably not miss too many of those minions. Just get denied a couple, which will just keep Prophet very barely ahead. Meanwhile, on the bottom lane, though, Wolf getting jumped on. Root comes through from the Deadly Flourish. Flash forward from Soul looking for the kill, and he's going to come up with it. Finds it, but Bang answers for one as he takes out Punch. Now looking for Cougar. Pops the Gray Health Shield. Peanut wrapping around. Can they close the distance? The answer is going to be no. No level 6 yet for the Rengar.
The only way this works if Bang somehow lures Cougar into melee range. Seems unlikely.
A couple more auto attacks, and Cougar
left
still
now.
would likely go down, but Bang's going to have to peel back.
Bang wants to play a long laning phase here. Tier Sheen is the ideal first back for an Ezreal. That's 1,800 gold, which is still about 15 CS.
The back
or
gets
so
stopped by
onwards.
Cougar. He doesn't finish the recall. Now Peanut comes over the wall with the Blast Cone. Going to be looking in, looking for the hop in. Throws out the Bola, finds Soul though, and he'll go ahead and peel back.
Yeah, they saw Punch was on the bot side because of the ward. Safety first from Peanut. We're seeing more and more of this in recent weeks. He's adjusting his playstyle as he needs to for the team he's on.
We're trading up top. Prophet going to be winning out these trades, at least for the time being. Roach needing that Spectre Scowl to try to survive.
His shops have been better. The reason why we saw him chunk out the Shen was because he had double Dorans and Roach was second to shop. And then, as you say, not being able to finish the Spectre's Cowl means the trades continue to be very one-sided for Roach. Very interested to see what sort of keystones we see in 7.5 with the removal of Bond of Stone. Actually have to look and remember the name of the replacement spell. I think it's Stoneborn's Pact or something like that. But the effect of it is something that someone like Nautilus will definitely love. People talking about other AoE CC supports as being very, very strong on 7.5. So we might finally see the adjustment in the bot lane meta. Not around 80 carries like you might imagine, but with supports changing a bit.
I mean, AoE CC, we've already seen a bit of Leona. Could very well swing her back in, maybe.
I think someone like Nautilus doesn't have to commit as hard, is perhaps going to be more common, whether it's as a flex pick or just in the top lane. But yeah, I can see it.
Might need a bit more for the Alistar.
One day. The noble cow will come back one day.
Gorilla's just licking his lips, waiting for that moment. That's when Longshoe shoots to the top of the standings.
Sometimes he plays like he's Alistar when he's on champions like Zyra, and that works against him. Needs the noble cow back one day. Never forget spring season where he played Alistar something like 23 times.
Yeah, everyone's calling him a one-trick.
That was 23 times when they were winning most series 2-0. So that was actually a lot of his season was on Alistar. So far, laning phase has been very even. Kongdoo ahead in gold even at 8 minutes, which doesn't mean anything at all, but it is something to factually report on.
Yeah. The first blood burst coming through for Soul helps him out quite a bit. Has the Serrated Dirk plus the Ninja Tabby ready to go.
And guess what? Bang lane till he had Tier Sheen. So he's a happy camper too.
He'll be all right. Like Soul bringing in this build that Bang started pushing in Korea.
Well, he's against a Rengar and Ezreal, so the helps with laning trades, not bad. It'd be funny if Bang laughed, said he was trolling and changed.
True Shot Barrage comes through, devours there by Cougar. Keeps Soul alive, but he goes dangerously low. Has to flash out, actually, at the end of that. Didn't catch it on camera, but will be Summoner Spell down for the Tahm Kench.
I am suspicious that at some point Bang will do an interview about how something's good, and then it turns out he was trolling the whole time. The Ninja Tab makes a lot of sense in a era of lethality, but you know, players like Bang and Faker have so much of an impact on the world meta, whether it comes to items or champions in the meta. People look to Korea, and specifically superstars and mainstays of Worlds for those things. Lots of praise there, even if it's indirect praise.
And we'll see which way Bang wants to go. I mean, he has been going into tabbing on almost every single ADC, depending on the matchup. And right now, things look like it'd be very good for him.
Well, he's against double lethality as well.
Yeah, I mean, Jace, Jin, and then the Lee Sin even. So there's a lot of AD damage to help mitigate. Peanut, Thrill the Hunt coming through. Cougar realizes that he might be a little bit screwed.
Yep.
Will get jumped on. Standing Knight's kind of come through.
Okay.
They're going to try to turn this one around. Peanut gets devoured, has to flash away from the Shen, actually, and they hold it off. Nicely done by Roach.
You'll notice that Bang was not interested in stopping the freeze of minions and actually looking for the kill, so he didn't actually have the full backup of his team. Wolf was not going to use the ult as well. Those are the small moments where you know that Prey and Gorilla would have considered helping for the all-in and potentially sacking a minion wave, control something, and actually helping out Peanut. But Rox Tigers in many ways was built around getting Peanut ahead. The Battle Ward was in full flight for most of 2016, but SKT a different team, and that's why you see little disconnections there where you can imagine how things might have been different, but truly an indication of what things are like in 2017 for Peanut and SKT.
So far, Kongdoo will just maintain that ever so slight gold lead over top of SK Telecom. Just haven't been able to make the moves to put more kills on the board to move for these objectives.
But SKT are in no rush.
Oh yeah, Faker is going to be scaling up pretty hard very soon. As
You said the S word, the scaling word. Tiers, catalysts, scaling everywhere. Jace has a tier too, though. Slightly less consequential.
Yeah. He'll be scaling a bit less.
Who's not scaling Achilles in this game? I think everyone's scaling.
For the most part, yeah. Maybe Lee Sin after a while.
That's true. He does. I would say he scales into being a second support.
Yeah.
Disengage kicks and all that.
Let's kick up. No. Then all right. Well, my job is done here. Faker.
Oh.
No flash. Knocked back in by Edge. Follow up. Punch now. Going to try to turn things on to Peanut. Kicks him in. He goes down. Edge finds the kill, and Faker's got a Realm Warp out, but Roach is there to pick him up. Taunts him in. Faker, that movement speed from the Scuttle Crab, running up to those open arms of Prophet to get safe, but what a pickup by Kongdoo Monster.
Well, I thought that might be some respect for Punch. His Lee Sin mechanics have always been pretty clean. Graves is his most winning champion, but I would say another one of these Lee Sin most impressive champions for Kongdoo Monster. They're going to get a lot of time free pushing in the mid lane. Ezreal ultimate is up. May want to shoot that just to help with the push, but instead, we're seeing a collapse from SKT.
Now Prophet's running down. Gonna go ahead, pop the depth charge onto Edge, into the dredge line. Snatches him up, but the True Shot Barrage will not connect from Bang. And he's gonna get cut off in the river by Cougar, so can't come in to try to clean up any of these kills. So just a lot of damage being dealt onto that tier 1 turret in mid by Kongdoo Monster, setting it up for a first brick potentially.
Ironically, Prophet stacked his CC, so if he had spaced out a bit more, almost invariably they would have seen the juke into the True Shot Barrage. Would have been enough to kill? Probably not. Just a little thing to point out there that might have changed the course of that. I mean, that's an award. Ocean Drake, one of the most punishing to take solo, but Faker's here to back him up.
Yeah, they will be able to knock that out. There's nobody nearby from Kongdoo to try to contest that. Wolf will lay down a couple wards inside the jungle to keep tabs on Punch. He's on this bottom side of the map. So Ocean goes over to SK Telecom. We'll see a mountain coming up in 6 minutes or so. But for right now, Kongdoo in a pretty decent spot. 1,000 gold up. Definitely not the largest of leads. Definitely not the one that you want against SK Telecom, whose late game shot calling is close to unparalleled. But still, already very well fought by Kongdoo.
I like the fact that you talked about the late game, because mid to late is the SKT special. They're all about steadying things until they force your enemy into the no-win situations all across the Rift, and then making the right decision themselves. Early game has been more the forte of KT Rolster, who consistently were winning the early games against SKT, but going for those early game comps that they couldn't quite close out the game on after making some mistakes. And Kongdoo have a similar comp to that, but you're asking Kongdoo Monster to make little to no mistakes against SKT in the mid to late game, which don't quite have the brains trust of Martyr and friends to make that happen.
Like I said, even playing a fairly clean early game is going to be a very big boon for Kongdoo Monster, who are just inevitably going to be ending up inside that promotion tournament later on against the likes of CJ and Everate. Punch, maybe looking for a kick here on the Faker. Lands the Sonic Wave. Does he want to go in for this one? The answer's going to be yes. He gets kicked in. He gets annihilated. Faker goes down. Stand United to keep Punch alive under the turret. Prophet cannot arrive in time to turn anything around. Faker just gets picked up.
Yeah, faster reaction from Shen, and of course Shen has the shorter channel on the Stand United. Peanut ulted, but far too late, wasn't in position. First brick, first turret blood is observed as well, and hey, Kongdoo Monster, keep this up, and who knows what's possible this game.
Where have you been all this season?
Oh, they've been losing, Kilios. That's where they've been.
Where has this version of you been all this season? They finally patched. They got ready to go. And they're up to speed. Peanut getting jumped on. Can't try to stick around the dual edge. He's just got so much damage with the Youmu's completed. With the blue buff. And Peanut just hasn't been able to make anything happen yet. He's out farming Punch, but Punch has those 3 assists. So doing much more for the team by comparison.
But the big map plays haven't happened yet, and those are where perhaps things will get better for SKT. What's the next piece of the puzzle for Kongdoo Monster? Because a play to take the bot lane turret, to me, would be a big one. Ezreal doesn't have the most wave clear, and Zyra can only ult a wave once, so the Jace going around bot, poking in, and trying to force a second turret. Keeping the pace of the game up is what Kongdoo Monster needs, but again, easier said than done.
They're likely going to fall into the flow of shut down Faker and just keep trying to gank him in every opportunity. SKT, though, going to pull the trigger on something. Realm Warp down to the bottom lane to try to equalize the turret count. They should be able to net this for themselves.
They're the ones making the map play I was talking about. Realm Warp gives them just another semi-global. Level 11 now for Faker, so the Realm Warp a lot more relevant when it comes to map movement. Level 1, that's a bit too short to be significant in that way. Didn't even have to draw in Prophet, whose teleport was down.
Yep, and a nice pickup here. Keep that gold deficit about 2,000 down for SK Telecom.
And with the side lane turret being down, you can start the 1-3-1. So Ryze has the option to go and visit the side lane. Isn't Ghost Flash, so isn't quite as maneuverable as some of the other Ryze games, but the exhaust was necessary to deal with Jason in the mid lane. And now it becomes, can Kongdoo Monster problem solve a different type of map? Because sure, Ezreal's going to be slightly overextended, but it's Ezreal. Jhin can't really instant push, so it will take time for him to push in, and pushing in is very risky against semi-globals like Ryze's, and the fact that they don't have advanced vision. Some advanced vision, but not necessarily enough for the push.
Faker in a bad spot. Wraparound coming in from Cougar and Punch. He's just going to try to duel this one out, but just doesn't have the answer, or the damage to answer this. He goes down. Punch claims his first kill of the game. 4 on the board now for Kongdoo.
Yeah, question posed, question answered. Good first move, but they're not going to group and try and take this turret quickly in the bot lane. They're going to react to mid lane and try and hold it instead. Kongdoo are starting to walk towards top. Right now you can see SKT have the run of their red side jungle. Kongdoo do not want to follow this. They want to make plays around the map and draw SK Telecom rather than opt into brush fights against SKT.
Yeah. Kongdoo just continuing to advance where they can, and SKT just struggling to respond to this. Now turret down and bottom lane, which means Faker's going to keep splitting here. He's going to be very susceptible to further ganks with that Abyssal Voyage from Cougar. So Kongdoo just have worked their way into a very nice spot thus far. Punch, maybe going to get jumped on. Peanut comes in, will go ahead, take that away. Gets the kick out, dragged back in by the dredge line in the depth charge. He gets popped up. Stand United arrives, and Roach just gets a massive taunt. Now trying to find a kill onto Wolf, chasing him down. One more hit would do it, but the Blast Cone takes the Zyra out to safety. But the rest of Kongdoo, can they collapse and try to come up with something? Prophet going to flash in, still getting slowed up by these shots from the curtain call. Jukes out on the fourth one, finds Peanut on the back of the pick, and hit, and now Edge arriving with Cougar goes forward with the Abyssal Voyage. Faker just in the bottom lane trying to split as best as he can, but his team is dying up at the top lane. Prophet goes down. Kongdoo put another kill on the board. Can they find an objective 4? It looks like the answer is going to be no. They have to back off. They have to stop Faker from pushing towards that tier 2.
They can rush down the Rift Herald, but they're choosing not to do so with only 30 seconds before it leaves the map. It being a buff onto someone like the Lee Sin or even the Jace can be pretty useful. But for now, Faker's going to get free time in bot lane for just a single kill. So doing the math there becomes a bit hazy given they get bot lane pushing. They start to force Kongdoo Monster to react, and it was a true 5v4. There was no way for SKT to group up in that scenario without Ghost in the Realm Warp. Rise wasn't realistically going to get there in time, so smart for Faker to just keep the map pressure up. And although Kongdoo have had the wins, they have the gold. That's a second Drake in the pockets of SK Telecom T1.
Yeah, at this time, the Mountain going over to them. Cloud will be the third one to follow up. Maybe we'll get a game where we see every single element coming out, but for now, we'll be doing some good stuff for SK Telecom if they can get into a position to start knocking down these remaining outer turrets in top and mid. For now, that moment has been eluding them. It's been Kongdoo, the ones pushing in for the turrets, dictating the overall pace of the game.
Yeah, it's kind of remarkably similar to Game 3 of the Telecom War. You remember there was when KT was running Ziggs, top lane Talon, Jace, lots of split pushers, and trading up in turrets.
Top lane Talon.
Until they kind of ran out of easy objectives to take. Not to say that Kongdoo will do that here. They've actually made some nice moves pinching onto Faker, but easy objectives start to go down after this outer top lane turret. So the setups need to be that much more precise, and Baron control also as a backup win condition. They have Shen to tank it. Lee Sin and Tahm Kench can help out in that way as well. And SKT, the stacks are getting there. 5 stacks onto the Rod of Ages. Maybe more than that. Our monitor is quite small. Might be 8, might be 5, hard to say. Muramana expected to be transformed in about 2 minutes as well.
I think I see 6 stacks, but it is hard to tell. Peanut now getting jumped on. Edge goes in. It's going to flash away, trying to keep himself alive. Curtain Call opened up, bang. The target in the front lines. Won't get caught by the 4th shot. Faker eats that. Not enough damage on Soul to really punish SK Telecom. But still, good opening. They get rid of the flash on the Rengar.
The big goal there for Kongdoo was to draw the teleport from Prophet, because they have Shen, Stand United, and teleport, so they would have had a lot of global advantages short of the Realm Warp. So they weren't able to do that. Nautilus doesn't teleport. Prophet needs to be super judicious with his teleport, because if it doesn't work, like we say, they will be overwhelmed with globals. Peanut again.
Peanut getting rooted. Sonic Wave comes out. He's locked down, but Punch is going to get popped up by the Stranglethorns. Plants chipping away at him, but Roach has the Stand United to try to keep him alive. Now pushing forward. Prophet comes around the side, gets the dredge line in, pops up Soul with the depth charge. The Jin may just go down, and he does. Faker takes him out, arriving with the Realm Warp, and SKT out of nowhere pick up 2 kills.
The moment we get true team fights, you start to see the gaps in Kongdoo's comp. Another comp that has no answer for Ezreal at 3 items. Only 2 so far, notably the Iceborne Gauntlet for a bit more control and slow instead of the Trinity Force has become a staple for Bang, even in games where you thought he'd consider the Iceborne Gauntlet. And they're going to keep pushing here, and honestly, there's nothing Roach can do.
Yeah, Punch going to arrive, threatened with the Dragon's Rage. Didn't get to use it in the last fight. But SKT just still sticking around, have that Sheen, doing a lot of work as the turret's about to fall. Roach goes in for the taunt, but may just pay for it with his life. The dodge zone plus the Devour is enough to keep him alive. Edge now starting to poke in from the back. Nice shock blast on the Peanut. He's got a blast cone, but nowhere really to ride it out. So likely just gonna have to run up and maybe try to just give the solo kill over to Edge, but they're gonna hand this one off to Soul. There's nothing he can do to stop this, so the Jin finds one in the end, but SK Telecom get the inner turret.
Yeah. Retreating in multiple different ways. They want Wolf.
They came in for with the teleport, looking for Wolf. They lock him down. Sonic Wave connects. They find another kill. Now pings are coming out. Peanut's dead for 25 more seconds. Kongdoo, they're going to pull the trigger on the Baron.
That was risky overstay from SKT. It took so long. All the respawns had come through that Baron will be the ultimate punishment, but Soul's already caught.
Faker and Prophet find Soul. They take out the Jin. True Shot Barrage coming through.
Ezreal's coming too.
Vision on the Baron. Ezreal arriving. Kongdoo Monster getting chunked quite low. Faker going to get exhausted off the bat by Cougar, but he goes down. Can't take up anymore for his team. Baron goes over to Punch as he smites it out, but can they exit with their lives? Roach goes over the wall. Punch does as well, but the Mystic Shot and the Overload follow through, and Faker finds a double kill.
Yeah, just a single Baron buff, probably not going to be the most significant, but they're on to Shen. You'll like it for the split push option, but the 4-1, it's not going to be that powerful when the 4 do not have a single Baron buff with them. And now Ryze and Ezreal, their items and scalings are getting there. 3 items for both of them. Well and truly close to being observed. 3 kills on each as well. More guaranteed gold comes the way of SKT. It was 5,000 gold lead, or 4.5 for Kongdoo at one point, but that gold lead is almost completely gone, even with the injection of the Baron. And now Prophet and Faker are going to have some fun with Roach, but there's reinforcements from
Missile
Kongdoo.
Voyage coming through Guger. The only one arriving, Soul's on the backside, chunking away
Bang's
and
here
Prophet
too.
where he can, but Bang is wrapping around from the back. See what he can get done. Curtain Call opened up, they're looking for Prophet. Guger just body blocking the missing shots, trying to keep this Jhin safe, but Bang is just forcing them back in, and Roach on the other side of things, all on his lonesome, gets taken out. Devour comes through, Soul eats a missing shot to the face. He goes down, 3 kills, picked up for SK Telecom. Realm Warp says hello bunch. He goes away, Prophet finds the killing blow, and SK Telecom have suddenly blown this game wide open. Edge the only one limping back to the base.
Welcome to the mid to late game. Viewers and SK Telecom T1, they come online just as their scaling hits the next level. Kongdoo were playing their comp perfectly until they made one mistake in execution-heavy comps. AT fell down this trap, and so will Kongdoo Monster. First inhibitor of the game goes to SKT. The base is broken, and so may be the hearts of Kongdoo Monster.
Yeah, just 25.5 minutes into this one, they claim the inhib. Edge waiting in the wings, maybe looking to poke out, stop the recalls, perhaps just to delay them, but he'll think better if it moves back over to mid, and we'll just keep farming up with the CS. But Kongdoo, they try to make something happen, but man, do they come up short.
Yeah, some of the skill shots missed. They take a long time, and this gives time for Bang to wrap around. Ninja Tabi, Iceborne Gauntlet. Ezreal's happy to scrap in close quarters against a lot of the physical damage dealers that almost completely dominate the side of Kongdoo Monster. Shenol was used interestingly onto Guger instead of Soul. So Soul gets cleaned up after they kill the easy target that was Guger, and there's no damage left, there's no hope left in this particular engagement for Kongdoo Monster. A nice little extended skirmish becomes a teamfight win for SKT. Inhibitor in top is down. This will be the Cloud Drake also for SKT. Not consequential, but something to pick up nonetheless.
Yep. And then another Mountain Drake on the way for the 4th and final before the Elder comes spawning up. SKT grouping around that bottom lane, maybe looking for that inner turret.
The lethality is only really going to be working against Wolf. At this point, it's Iceborne Gauntlet, Ninja Tabi for Ezreal, and Zonia is completed for Faker. So it feels like the build path has been hit at a timer that's pretty decent for Kongdoo, but too late because of where SKT has gone with their itemization.
Yep. So now all of the inner turrets taken out. Still a lot of pressure being drawn in the top lane. You can see Roach has to push really far forward just to try to keep those super creeps from crashing into the base. Does have Stand United up. TP's almost available as well, so can join the team. Should a fight break out, which seems like an inevitability. Punch going into the back, tries to get the kick on the Faker, but Faker goes into the zone, he flashes away to the other side, and now the Lee Sin just can't find anything. Massive knock-up from the depth charge, swept through with the True Shot Barrage, and Roach will be the first one to fall.
On deep.
Drill to Hunt as Peanut goes in. Here they go with that Realm Warp. They lock down Edge, they take him out. Soul getting devoured by Guger, but it's just such a non-effort. He goes down. They'll both fall. Faker finds the double kill, and now SK Telecom can continue breaking the base, if not just winning the game here.
Yeah, scrappy stuff from SKT. They didn't fully commit. Bang didn't take the Realm Warp, so they actually lacked damage to kill people fast enough. But the minion wave comes. It's all a moot point in the end. Kongdoo had a very nice first 15 to 20 minutes. Then 20 minutes hit, and this is the result, Achilles.
Yep, much more exciting game than you might have thought. Kongdoo didn't look quite good to start things off, but SK Telecom is still SK Telecom. You give them an inch, they take 10 miles, and they'll take game 1, 28 minutes on the clock.
Nice stuff from SKT. You know, they played around their scaling. You know, they were behind, but they kind of accepted the places where they were behind. They weren't over-forcing. Nice creative plays from Punch in particular, onto Faker in the side lane. The first brick was well taken by Kongdoo. But these games always reach a tipping point. The tipping point was the fight around top side and the previous skirmishes where SKT were inching even, inching ahead. They even took Drakes that honestly they had no right to, given where the wards were for Kongdoo and their control around the bot lane. And then we hit the point that we kind of all knew we'd hit, where Kongdoo look a bit sad. And SKT, business as usual for them.
Yep. Just another win for SK Telecom to try to stick that much further ahead of KT Rolster at the end of the split. Kongdoo, I mean, they already know where they're at as far as their standings. They know that it's not really going up from here, at least not significantly. But still, a good early game from Kongdoo. They just can't close out on it.
The 12th match of the season ends after this one. It's only 6